Hi everyone. So today I'm going to be showing you how to bleed the brakes on a 1999 Jeep Wrangler. So let's go ahead and get started. So to start, you want to make sure, read your reservoir here. It specifically says .3 fluid, so make sure you get .3 fluid or better for this job. If you have some old brake fluid that's been sitting in a container for very long, it actually changes color, so you don't want to use that. You want to use the new clear brake fluid. So I'm going to go ahead and include a link on the brake fluid that I used in this video. So make sure that you have the right brake fluid. One of the first things you're going to need to do is you need to break all the nuts on all of the tires, since I'm going to be doing it on all of them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first. So to get started, you're going to fill up your reservoir here, depending upon if you're just bleeding the entire thing or what have you. I'm going to fill mine all to the top because I have quite a bit of fluid I need to use, because I redid all of my brake lines in another video. So the rear brake line goes in a single line towards the back, and then it goes into a T at the rear axle. So I'm going to do the rear passenger first and then the rear driver. But I'm going to show you on the driver's side here. Essentially, you could see this is the rear brake cylinder. I replaced that. I'll show you real quick. A really bad one. It was stripped pretty bad. You can see here how badly that's rusted and stripped, so there was no way. I was just spinning on that, on the bleeder there. So if it's like that, I have another video that you can watch on how to replace the rear brake cylinder. So anyways, you're going to, essentially, I have a little tube that I have, a piece of plastic that I'm going to put on this little nub here. It's an 8mm bolt here. And basically what's going to happen, I'm going to have this tube out, and I'm going to have a second person in the driver's. And essentially they're just going to pump the brakes for me and create pressure. Basically 1, 2, 3. On 3 they're going to hold. And I'm going to release this, open up this valve, this little nub here, turn it to the left, and that will open up the valve and push all of the air out and push fluid down. So you're going to need a second person. That's essentially the procedure that you're going to do to bleed the brakes. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Go ahead and get started on the rear passenger and then the rear driver until you get fluid coming through. If you emptied them, or if you're putting in new fluid, until that fluid looks clear that's coming out. Alright, so here's the setup for the front passenger. I was going to walk you through it. And so, by the way, here's a good jack point if you have a bottle jack and some 2x4s. There isn't a good jack stand point right here. I don't even have it touching on that. It's resting on the bottle jack, but I just want some assurance in case something does fall. It'll fall on that jack stand instead of on me. So, anyways, this is my setup. See, I have a tube down into a bottle that I can cap and throw in the trash. This is a 3/8 for the front, and basically I'm gonna do this. And what I found, since it was completely empty for me, was actually having my helper go ahead and just keep pumping, and you'll see a bunch of air just spit out. So that's what we're looking for. Alright, so I'm just going to have my helper just keep pumping, and you'll see a bunch of, for one, dirty fluid from this line since I didn't replace it. But my new line here that I just put in is obviously full of air. So go ahead and start pumping. I'm going to loosen it. Hang on. Alright, sorry, I had to break the bolt. Alright, my partner can go ahead and start pumping. And you'll see a bunch of fluid come out. So that dirty fluid. See, and you're seeing some air bubbles. Gonna keep pumping until that's all done. But since we're having a ton of fluid, hang on, stop pumping. I need to check my reservoir right here. Seen that was full, so I need to top it off. So that's kind of the procedure there, and you'll go through a lot of fluid. You can see I've filled up quite a bit, but that's how you flush the brake. So go ahead and do that. Like I said, you start at the rear passenger, rear driver. I just did the front passenger, and now I'm doing the front driver. So go ahead and do it, and do it in that order, and keep pumping. Make sure that you keep your reservoir full, and keep pumping until either it's clear coming out, because that's new brake fluid, or until there's no air bubbles coming out, depending upon if you're like me and you replace the brake lines, so they're obviously full of air and you need to fill them with brake fluid. So once you've flushed all 4 lines to all 4 wheels, essentially you're just going to top it up here. Again, closely watch that as you pump through, because you'll be pumping a lot of fluid through, because I had one instance where I didn't watch this close enough and I pumped air through, and so I had to redo it. Wasted a bunch of fluid and time. So anyways, make sure that you top it off, and then before you really start driving in traffic or using the brakes too hard, it'd be a good idea to just kind of putt around the neighborhood to make sure that your brakes are working well and that there's not any air in any of the lines or anything. And then watch it over the next week or 2 of driving, and double check that reservoir, make sure that it stays full. So anyways, that is how you bleed the brakes on a 1999 Jeep Wrangler. So hopefully this was helpful, and thanks for watching.